All right. I'm gonna just go through this shot as a quick study of ways to add production value and get the job done, kind of efficiently, you might say. So what happens in the story, let me turn on the preview here. So what happens in the story is, I guess I'll play the whole bit. So the guards come into the dungeon area with Asher, give him a good push, Lechbar does. Jehoiakim objects to that treatment of Asher, and Asher compliments Jehoiakim, and then we hear a voice, and it's going to be the voice of Golik. So he's objecting to what Golik's doing, but then all of a sudden, oop, they hear Golik's voice. So now there you go. That's where we're at. So basically what happens is Golik is present, and then I realized the next thing that really needs to happen is essentially Asher is escorted into his cell. Now, the interesting thing about it is, from a continuity standpoint, is the fact that there doesn't appear to be any cell over here that's open. Does that matter? I would say no. If you have a environment and, several seconds of story and several shots go by, not a big deal. If there's a small continuity problem, it happens all the time, and if you look hard in any show, you can find them. So what I need to do is, Golik's not going to have the conversation with Asher standing in the hallway. That's a bit of a problem. So I'm like, well, what do I do? So the interesting thing about this shot was, first of all, I was able to take this shot, several shots ago. So you got this shot that starts out here, and what I wanted to do is use this right here. So from the time that we saw that, we had this, and this. So it's not a problem to jump back and grab this wide shot. So the cool thing was, that means I can grab shot number, 003A, I think, and just reuse it. And I did so by putting a transform mask on Asher to just move his position overall. So that would be number one, the reuse aspect, because look, here we've got Golik in this shot, and now we are going to cut to a wide shot immediately, boom, where he's further back. But that didn't feel like a jolt to me. You can kind of prove it this way. If you zoom in, zoom. Okay, we zoom in, take a look at this shot, and then boom, just go to this, and how strange that my screen would go blank. Okay, so we go from this to this. So that works pretty good. Okay, so economy. Number one, Golik is taken directly from this shot, so that's good. Number two, we already had the keyframes of Asher turning. So I'm like, okay, how can we punch up the production value of that? Really, really easily. And the answer was, well, have a little human behavior here. So he turns and looks at Golik and then looks back. But when he looks back, he's not looking at Jehoiakim anymore. He's looking at Lechbar. So this was like paint, done. To turn it from looking in this direction to looking in this direction. Okay. Number three, the turns, how do we add production value to them? What I did was I said, well, there'd be a little bit of a shift of weight. So I'm going to give him that smile back. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go a little liquify. So when somebody turns, like typically, like if a head turns, for example, it tends to turn down. So if you're looking at a person looking to the left, and now you're going to switch them to where they're looking to the right, when they're in the middle point between the two, their chin will tend to come down. So it's really kind of a scooping down and up kind of thing, not just a lateral turn. right? Because human beings don't do lateral turns. That's what, machines do, not people. Okay? So I'm like, all right, let him dip down and then do the turn and then actually have a little recoil like that where his weight shifts after the turn. And then have a anticipation there of the turn back. Then he turns and looks at Lekbar. And again, a little shift of weight, that the turn just ended. And then here we've got, he kind of shifts and like he's annoyed by it and then springs into action and goes. Okay, so that means that everything I did with Asher essentially cost me nothing because it took 1 minute to change the direction of his eyes, and everything else that was done with the transform tool, with liquify. Just adding a little tiny bit of motion. Okay, so then the other thing that adds interest to the shot, obviously, is the silhouettes. Well, that took like 1 minute. So the whole trick to this was, once I got the body language of the two guards that are in the foreground, then what do we do with Lekbar? And what I did was I said, well, if they weren't there, look, we realize Golek has no legs. Not only that, he's kind of standing on top of the candle. So it's like really important that this area still be blocked. So what I did was I said, well, Lekbar, he's kind of cocky. He just goes like this, and then boop, boop. And Asher's like, okay, I guess I have no choice. Boom. And so what we just did here is we really preserved the continuity, and we're able to do almost an 8-second long shot that has a lot of good information in it in terms of, getting that continuity so that we can. So what's going to happen next, you might ask? Well, what's going to happen next, of course, is going to be a close-up shot of a hand slamming the cell door shut. And that will put a button on it, and also that will break the audience's sense of continuity because it's a tight close-up of the hand closing the door. And so that buys us a little bit of flexibility in terms of where we go next, which of course will be Golek talking to Asher. My suspicion is what I'll do is I'll have Golek out here, kind of where Asher is here, talking through the cell, and at the beginning of the shot we'll see the silhouette of these two guys passing in front of Golek. So in our mind, again, for almost zero cost, I mean, because drawing silhouettes is pretty quick and easy, it's just a blob of color, we're able to let the audience know that these guys have exited, and it becomes a private conversation between Golek and Asher. Well, when it's all done, this is what it looks like. Isn't that sweet? Very nice.